Guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I don't know. I'm first time streaming on this computer. Let me know if the audio, the visual's okay. Can you see the chart? Cool. So what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? You know? Sorry, I just gotta send this to my friend real quick. Yeah, so what the fuck, guys? What the fuck is happening? Okay. The audio is no good. It's no good, just let me know. Okay, so, man, where do we even begin, guys? The market has been nuking. And I will be very, very honest and transparent with you guys, as I always am. It's nuking farther than I expected. I think that much is very much clear, right? So I think one of the things, right, that we're going to see online right now when the market dumps like this, right, is you have people telling you to continuously just buy the dip, buy the dip. Oh my God, the bears can't go any lower, right? And then the dip keeps fucking dipping. Something that I try and be very honest and transparent with you guys about is that I get shit wrong, right? So let's start there. I was very much incorrect about how far this dip was gonna go. Now, I can cope and I can pretend that, you know, I'm like comfortable with how low it went. And even though, oh, well, it's still holding monthly structure, because it is, right? You guys have been following me for a long time. Well, the monthly structure is still intact, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I thought this dip was going to stop initially right below 98, and then I said ideally somewhere around the yearly open, right? That's what I talked about in my most recent video. I definitely was not expecting it to hit 80K, okay? So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I fucking said, oh guys, like there's a few people who are being like, oh, don't worry, you know, we can still holding this, and I get it, we are. We're still technically holding this monthly uptrend, and this can very easily reverse. But the problem with the monthly time frame is here's the monthly high, here's the monthly low. So that means you might eat shit for 30, 40% drawdown before it goes up again. Okay? So I'm not gonna try and pretend like I called this and I was correct. I was wrong. I definitely thought that the weekly low was gonna be put in back here, or on just this run below the yearly open. I thought it was gonna happen a lot closer to the yearly open than it did. And that shit happens, right? Like, I traded this last area horribly. So since October 10th, I've taken 7 trades, okay? I've taken 6 longs and I've taken 1 short. Guess which trade made money? The short. So I made money on the short, and I lost money on every single long. So since October 10th until now, so about a little over a month and just under a month and 2 weeks, just under a month and a half, I've taken 7 trades. I've won 1 of them, which I was a short, and I did this one on stream with you guys. If you remember the 115K short up here, seems like forever ago. I shorted this. But other than that, I longed, I took a long here, I took a long here, I took like some longs here and like here, like, and I think I took one maybe here, something like that. 7 trades, okay? 1 short paid and the rest were losses, okay? So I've been diametrically, objectively on the wrong side of this move. Now, I've only lost about 9 to 10% on my leverage account. It's not like I'm fucking wiped out or anything, but it doesn't change the fact that this was a primo short opportunity per my system, and I fucking ignored it. So I'm extremely disappointed with my poor execution up here. At the end of the day, it's my money, right, that I'm losing, and it's my money that I am, putting at risk when I'm taking these trades. And I tell you guys all the time, like, I understand many of you look at me and you say, okay, well, what's main think? And then maybe that affects what you're doing, right? So I hate when I'm wrong, of course, because I want to help you guys make money to the best of my ability. So if I'm bullish and we go up and you were bullish and part of your bullishness was because I was bullish, that's awesome if we make money, but the inverse is also true. I'm not always going to be right. And so as much as I hate losing money, I also hate being wrong because, I know a lot of you guys listen to me and it sucks. Like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Lisa, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. I'm going to mute you. Goodbye, whore. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I was wrong. I thought the low was going to form earlier. So now what I want to do is I want to walk over a few things here, okay? First thing I want to talk about is what were the signs that this was a short that I ignored? Because if you go back and watch, or if you go back and look at my tweet from October of last year, I tweeted out, and I retweeted this today. I said, hey, now that we're in price discovery, there's some things that we need to be looking for, okay? There's some things we need to be looking for that might tell us a potential top is in, okay? And how do you know? Because when we're at all-time high, you're euphoric, right? So looking at market structure, looking at your portfolio, all that shit goes out the window because we're pumping, right? The number's going up. So it's really hard to stick to your plans and to your thesis when the number is screaming to the upside. And I totally get that. So what I talked about here, okay, was what do you actually do? How do you identify distribution? And how do you make sure that you're not giving back 30, 40, 50% of some of your gains once the top is in, right? Because once the top's in, we get these big pullbacks very quickly, right? Big pullback, big pullback, big pullback relatively quickly. And so I said there's 3 things that I do. Number 1 is market structure. I said usually once market structure breaks on the daily, the top was in. 2017, that was the case. 2021, that was the case. But there's also been instances where we lost market structure on the 3-day, but then we reclaimed. So I said you could use some, or the daily, sorry, and then reclaim. So I said you could use something like the 3-day or the weekly. Then I talk about portfolio targets and price targets. My price target, by the way, was 110-ish to 150, okay? So where did I fuck up here? The biggest fuck up was not at least de-risking some on the monthly SFP. When you have a high time frame sweep, okay? A high time frame sweep, it is a very powerful signal in crypto. We had a monthly SFP here. The last time we had a monthly SFP was there. The time before that we had a monthly SFP was here, okay? So in the last 5 years in crypto, we've had 3 monthly SFPs. 2 of them have led to dramatic sell-offs, including being the top of the last cycle and potentially the top of this cycle, okay? And then one of them led to a face melting rally of 140%. So fading that signal on its own, that one pattern, super bullshit. I should not have fucked that up. When by the time October closed here, we're at 110. Yeah, we are 15K off the high, but God, wouldn't you wish you had sold at 110, right? Stop at 125. Like, that's the trade. We close the monthly as an SFP. That's the trade. Right? I'm not saying you're actually taking a trade. I'm just saying that's where that is invalidated. You sell at 110, we get above here, you rebuy. So you're risking 15K and you protected yourself so far of a 25K plus move, okay? So ignoring that, bad. The second thing I ignored, right, was not only was that monthly SFP on the month, is also a weekly SFP, and then we had a weekly internal range structure break. I was using this as the weekly structure, which we then closed below later. And after we had this close, that was when I did my last video and I said, guys, the likelihood of new all-time high, I think, is reduced now because we've had this weekly structure break. So at least that part of my system I'm sticking to. But in reality, monthly SFP, weekly SFP, this structure break, I should have been sitting on the sidelines probably until a little bit deeper. Instead, I got stopped out of this short here. I did not short this. And then I thought this sweep, right, was going to be the low. And then I thought maybe this run will be the low. And I got caught basically being bullish too early. And part of my being bullishness too early, I think, was coupled with the fact that because I didn't get the top sell or somewhere near the top, a little bit of it was pure cope. Like, there's no two ways about it, pure cope. So the reason I'm sharing this with you guys now is because I want to show you that, one, I get shit wrong all the time. Okay? Like, I'm not 100% hit rate trader. And two, I want you guys to realize, like, I'm at least going to be honest about it. What you're going to see is people being like, I bought, like, if we do this, your feed is going to be filled with people telling you they bought the dip, but they told you to buy here and here and here and here and here and here and here. And they always seem to have infinite money. It's the same people like the Alex Becker types who have been calling for alt season for 3 years now. Alex Becker's been telling you alt season's coming this entire Bitcoin dominance rally, okay? And he's saying, buy the dip on AI altcoins, buy the dip on these altcoins, buy the dip on these altcoins, and they all look like shit. And there has been no alt season yet, not even close, okay? So I don't want you guys to think that I am trying to obfuscate the truth from you. I get shit wrong, but I will admit when I get shit wrong. I'm not gonna pretend like I fucking nailed this. So even though I still believe we rally into the end of the year. So I still believe that Bitcoin, from a timing perspective, needs to put in a weekly cycle low. And I do think that whether it's here or a little lower, we're due for a significant rally. I think the RR on the short side here is no more. We've got 4 big red weeklies in a row. We very rarely get that. The weekly cycle's due. I think we're due for at least a bounce, whether it's a bounce to here or a bounce to here, or maybe it's to new all-time highs. I don't know yet. But even if this happens and we go, oh my God, you know, the weekly cycle's lows in and we went to all-time high, that's what Maine said was going to happen. The problem is I thought that was going to happen $20,000 higher from here. Okay, so I'm not going to pretend like I fucking nailed this move, and I'm not going to come up and fucking, you know, try and claim some clout on some bullshit that's not true. So that's going to be a big danger of what we're going to see here, and what we're already seeing, where you're being like, wait a minute, this guy's telling me to buy the dip. Didn't he tell me to buy the dip like at 120, 110, 100, 90, 80, 70? Like, I'm not that guy. I'll admit when I'm wrong, okay? So I got this wrong. I thought this was going to happen earlier, and I was wrong. So now that that's out of the way, now that I'm done fucking lashing myself, right, and fucking beating myself to a pulp in agony here, let's talk about what could happen next, okay? Let's try and bring a little bit of a little bit of positivity to what is an objectively pretty shitty situation here, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about here, okay, is you need to know what type of trader you are, okay? So what I mean by that is, what are you in crypto for? Are you here as an investor, long-term, fundamental believer in Bitcoin? And I'm not even talking about altcoins here, because you guys know my opinion on altcoins. I primarily hold Bitcoin. I think altcoins have brief periods of time where they go up, and the purpose of altcoins is to get more money to buy more Bitcoin and other shit. Long-term, I only believe in Bitcoin, really, okay? So are you a long-term believer in Bitcoin and you say, you know what, dips are a gift and they're an opportunity, and I'm not selling for 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, okay? Or are you someone who is actively trading these markets, okay? Because if you're a long-term believer in Bitcoin, you're not really, like, what are you really looking at here and worrying about? Like, obviously this is a dip, right? But like, if you're a long-term buyer in Bitcoin, anytime it drops 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, like, you just are buying and buying and buying and buying. And no different than where we are right now, like in the scope of just this bull run, even if it's over, right? Like, maybe you're buying on this dip, you're buying on this dip, you're buying on this dip, right? And then maybe this is the dip of all dips before the next bull run. I don't know, but you're just accumulating. And if that's the case, these ebbs and flows in the market, you can't be worried about, because in order to enjoy these rips, right? These crazy rips, right? You have to endure these crazy dips, right? To enjoy the bull and the overall direction of the market, the price appreciation, you have to realize that it can't go up in a straight line and there's going to be pullbacks, right? So if you're a longer term or higher time frame trader, I think you look at Bitcoin and you say, okay, this is a 30, like, during this cycle, this rip is not possible without this 30% pullback. This rip is not possible without this 30% pullback. Well, we're now 35% off the high. So even if we are going to have another leg, you've got to accept these ebbs and flows, because you're either realizing that it's not just going to be this. In the up, there's going to be ups and downs, but the trend is going to be up, or you're going to try and trade, which is, I mean, I'm going to try and trim here, add back here, trim here, add back here, trim here, maybe add back here. Maybe this is the top for a bit. I'm going to add lower and then ride it up again. Okay, but you can't have it both ways. And so what I think a lot of people are upset about is Bitcoin still, even right now, is up, okay, from the lows, 400% in the last 3 years. So like, there's going to be people who like said, okay, well, I bought down here, right? But you can't be in agony every time there's a pullback, right? Because there's lots of money that was on the table, able for you to take profit on the way. So those guys of you who pay attention, been following me for a long time, you know we bought around here, we bought around here, we bought around here, but I also sold some here and here. So it's not like I'm holding all of the spot that I'm accumulating and selling throughout the cycle, but I also have crypto where I'm not selling it at all. Even if we do this, I have Bitcoin that I will just add here. Money that I will just add, and that's my long-term stuff that I'm not even looking lower than the monthly, right? Okay? So now that that rant's out of the way, you have to ask yourself, what are you in here doing? Are you actively trading, right? Or are you just saying, hey, I believe in Bitcoin long term? Well, then guess what, man? Like, I still think that this chart goes up and to the right over the long term. The question is, are you willing to hold during these periods of drawdown, realizing that maybe this is a bigger one? Eventually, you know, you think Bitcoin's going to $250,000 or $1 million or whatever it is. So you got to be able to handle the ebbs and flows. And I mean, I understand if you bought spot Bitcoin in the last 3 months, you're underwater. Like, everyone who bought basically since July, maybe even earlier, everyone who bought since May or June is underwater at this point. Like, if you bought spot, you're underwater, right? So the end of the day, right, you need to understand what you're doing in these markets. I'm not saying you can't do both, but your portfolio should be structured differently for each one, right? Like I have long-term holdings, then I have spot that I'm actively trading, and then I have leverage. So my long-term holdings, this means nothing. Go lower, opportunity to buy. The spot that I'm actively trading, I've round tripped some P&L here that I'm upset about, and I didn't trade it as good as I could have. Leverage over the last fucking 5 weeks, I got smoked on. But each portfolio has their own goals, their own time horizons, etc. Okay? So looking at the chart on the high time frame here, and I talked about this in the last video, if the top is in, right? If the top is in, where do you buy? Right? Where do you buy? I think immediately my eye is drawn to here, just like it was back in this cycle low, right? So there's your entire bull market. You have your 1 down, 3 up, 1 down, bang, right? So if we have a really serious bear market, like the top is in and we're going to have a multi-month, year-long downtrend like we did here, buying at 50, 60K, I think is probably pretty good value for the next bull market. Okay, zooming in on the 3-month, I don't really see anything here that's super interesting to me, because if you go to the monthly, really what we have that I think is the biggest thing you want to watch, right, is you have that quarterly order block there that we front run. That's your monthly structure, right? So the argument that the monthly bulls are making is that the monthly structure is still intact. And you guys have heard me talk about this, like where it's like technically this is the swing low that needs to be broken for this to be confirmation that the top is in on the monthly time frame. So I know like Credible Crypto has talked about this. Some other guys have talked about this. The problem with using the monthly, right? Because I mentioned the weekly structure is already broken. The problem with using the monthly is, let's say we're going to go ahead and close below here. And it's like, okay, well now the monthly is bearish. Now we're assuredly going to go to 50K, let's say. Well, the problem is price has basically gone down already 50%. And then from here to the next move is only 30% away. Because if you go and look at the last cycle here, by the time the monthly structure broke, we were closer to the bottom, basically, than we were to the top. So that's one of the problems with using the monthly. So as much as I agree with a guy like Credible, where it's like, hey, technically speaking, we're still within this monthly order block here, and we can see a low form anywhere in here, and then this can make a new high, and everyone's going to say, oh my God, the monthly uptrend never broke. This is totally fine if you're a spot holder who's been buying Bitcoin for years. You have entries that are way lower than here. But the fact of the matter is, if you bought in the last few months, or if you're leverage buying all of these dips, a 30% pullback, even though it's possible and it's within the realm of possibility before continued upside, can absolutely wipe you and annihilate you. Okay? So where is the hopium? The hopium has a few different flavors today, okay? And I'm reaching deep into my fucking bag here to try and find some hopium for the guys, for the girls, okay? I think the biggest peeps of hopium, right, is that yes, for now, the monthly structure is still intact. So the bulls have that going for them. It's like, hey, we've got 2 back-to-back red months here. The November candle still hasn't closed, right? And we're still holding this structure, and we're at this monthly OB. Okay, sure, fine, fair enough. There's your first bit of hopium. The second bit of hopium here, I believe, right, is that the Fed has gone from saying maybe cuts aren't as likely to maybe they're now more likely. I still think that there's a good chance that we have a move and a Fed pivot towards quantitative easing, okay? Coming into the end of the year here and going into the end of the new year, I think they will cut rates at the next FOMC meeting, and I do think that that is a bullish catalyst for crypto, for Bitcoin, okay? while we're still holding this. I think another little tiny piece of hopium here is that I think the stock market can have another leg. As much as the fear and greed index on the stock market is at all-time highs and people are talking about the everything bubble popping, we're 7% off the high. Doesn't mean that we can't go down. We can. We could correct much lower here. Stocks haven't even begun to correct yet, really. So that's kind of scary. But I'm not completely sold on the potential that this can't have another leg. It can. This could have one more leg, and then it could have its big dump. Not saying for sure. We don't know yet, right? But like this is definitely ending soon, okay? But maybe there's hope that we got one more leg left, okay? Coupled with the quantitative easing, blah, blah, blah. Another little piece of hopium, I think, as well here is looking at US dollar dominance. Now you know I'm going deep into my bag here because I'm talking about US dollar dominance, but this is a pretty critical zone for the US dollar dominance in that every time we've come up to kind of this fucking general vicinity here, like this old price floor here, like we've rejected off it every single time. So if you go down to the weekly, you can actually see quite nicely here what I'm talking about. Like this is a very big zone for the US dollar dominance. What is the US dollar dominance? I mean, you can treat this similar to kind of like the inverse of Bitcoin, right? Like it's stablecoin dominance, obviously, right? So like if this goes down, generally crypto's pumping, right? Like if you look here, when's crypto been dumping since? Well, since about August, September, definitely October, November. Yeah, that lines up. When was crypto pumping last? Well, here's the April bottom on Bitcoin, and then here's the top on Bitcoin. Okay? What's up, Ponzi baby? So that's a factor, all right? Another thing that we can look at here, just chart base, right, is, Main's drawing a new box. His last one got fucking graped, and now he's drawing a new one. No shit. Never a good sign when all your levels are getting absolutely violated. But that's what's happening, right? We violated weekly support. We violated the weekly fair value gap and the yearly open. Well, now we're at basically the origin of the impulse for the entire last move, and then the monthly order block is also here. So this is an area of demand. Whether you like it or not, this is an area where price could bounce. The thing with these levels, right, is you have two ways you can trade them. You can either use the level as your entry, stop down here, or you use the level as an area to look for a setup to form. So if you say, hey, I think this is where it bottoms, you could start scaling in here, scale in at the halfway point, and you put your stop down there. That's your trade. The other option, which is usually what I do because this is a big fucking box, is I will zoom in and I will say, okay, I want to see the bulls put in bullish price action here. So maybe we've got a little sweep here, right? I'll go down to the lower time frame. Okay, maybe this is bullish because we got that sweep, we got that structure break, and then maybe I'll take this as the long, right? I'll buy this and I'll put my stop down here, right? Or if we get another sweep, right? Maybe we pull back a little more, give us a nice, like this is a 4-hour low, we put a low, lower low, and then I get in, like something like that. I look for bullish price action to occur within the box. That's gonna help you get a more precise entry rather than just like entering here and putting your stop below it, okay? We're in line. This is the biggest pullback we've had, this bull market so far. So we've had from here to here was 33, from here to here was 32, and from here to here we're at like 36, right? So big ass pullback into support. Stocks maybe not dead yet. US dominance into resistance. Like this is what we're working with here. And I still believe from a weekly cycle perspective, we're due to form a swing low very soon here. Now, what is going to be confirmation of that swing low? Well, we're going to need to see a 3-candle swing. So that means I need to see a low, right? A low, a lower low, and a higher low, right? Where was the last weekly swing low for the cycle? It was back here, right? Low, lower low, higher low. The one before that, no, sorry, it was here, excuse me. Then it was this one. So this was at 75K. This was here. Maybe we're gonna finally, maybe this closes as a nice wick and then we get that weekly swing low. And then that bounce, I think probably leads us to a lower high. And during this lower high process, I think that's when you get your altcoin rally. But I'm still putting there, I'm pulling this number from deep within my asshole, okay? Like, you know how they say you pull stuff out of your ass? I'm going so far into my ass that my hand is like coming out of my mouth like a fucking puppeteer, okay? So I'm going way up there and I'm pulling out this number that is based on fucking nothing, okay? Let me preface that. I still put the likelihood of a potential new all-time high based on the upcoming swing low, which I'm expecting to form soon here. Deja vu, remember when I was expecting it to form here? Funny joke. But regardless, we are due for a swing low. We very rarely get more than 4 candles in a row straight in one direction, okay, on the downside, other than like the bear market where we have like 9 in a row here. But generally, usually, even if it's really ugly, we'll get some kind of bounce, right? We'll get some kind of bounce, some kind of relief on the way down. So I do think we're due for that relief rally sooner than later. But I put the odds on a new all-time high at 30%. Okay? 30%. So I think the likelihood based on how the chart looks right now, how the structure looks, even though we're still holding the monthly, based on how everything looks and where we are cyclically and how stocks look, I think there's a higher likelihood that this ends up being a lower high, okay? Like I think the two scenarios, let's assume that this is the low because that makes our lives easier. I think the two scenarios are this, right? Or this. Like those are the two scenarios. Like we either get a crazy run, new all-time high, we're so blessed, or this is likely a lower high and you know, this is your opportunity to fucking sell. And I do think there will be a period of time during this lower high process where there might be some alt outperformance and that might be your little alt season. But yeah, like it's not, look, because this would be then like obviously distribution, right? And then this would be boom, like, okay, this distribution range is gonna fail. Well, like that's when your alts run, right? When Bitcoin is distributing, like that's when you have your alt season, okay? So usually, but we need to see alt BTC DOM rollover, but 30% might even be too high. Like it might even be too high. It might even be too high. So remember that number, my asshole, it came out of there. It came way out of there and I just threw it out to you, okay? Maybe 30% is too high, but I'm just saying it's not impossible. It's not impossible. There's still an outside chance that we can get a new all-time high, but I think the likelihood of the all-time high is massively reduced based on how things look right now, how far we've sold off. But you got to remember, last time we had a weekly cycle low and a 30+% pullback, we had a 100+% rally each time afterwards, right? 100+% rally from here, you know, that could put us at 150 to 160. So it's not impossible, but I think those are your two outcomes, is either a lower high or one more fucking go, and then I think it's fucking over if it's not over already. Like if we get a new all-time high, I think it's probably over after that all-time high. If we don't get a new all-time high, well then this was the top and it's fucking over anyways. And it still lines up from a cycle perspective of, you know, Q4 top. I said this a year ago. I've said this a bunch over the past few years. Every single bull market has topped in Q4, right? So Q4, October, November, December. Well, this is October, right, of Q4. 4 years prior, we topped in November of Q4, which is Q4 of 2021. 4 years before that, we topped in December of Q4, which is 4 years, again, 4 years before that. So it still would be within this kind of Q4 framework that I've been looking at. I know some people in the comments are saying, hey, it's exactly 1,064 days between tops, and there was exactly like 364 days. I ascribe to the weekly cycle theory the same way that Bob Lucas does, which isn't the same as just the legit, it's been 4 years. We have 3 years between tops and then a year-long bear market, 3 years between tops. That might, like if this happens and that's the case, I mean, great, it's to the fucking day. But I ascribe to it a little bit differently, where it's a time-based system that works a little bit different than just straight up using the exact days. But if that ends up being it, by all means, that could be fucking it, right? And if it was exactly 1,064 days, then yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So what are my plans here? How do I actually plan to go forward from here? I have no interest in aping with leverage, right? Until I get some sort of confirmation, just because I got fucking ripped on the way down here. Like I took some fucking L's. I do think this is a decent risk reward for the upside here. I do think that the short RR here is no longer there. Doesn't mean that this is the fucking low. It just means that I don't think we have that much lower to go before a significant bounce if the low is not already in. So if we get some sort of low time frame bullish PA, I mentioned on the 4 hour we have a little something. I might want to wait and see like the 12 hour do something. So maybe for me it means waiting until we're above the yearly open, and then I'll look to long something like this, right? Maybe it means waiting till we get another move down and then a break in structure on something like the H12. That might get me interested in leverage. What I'm holding right now is primarily some spot Bitcoin that I've yet to sell. I took some profits, as you guys know, back here. I took some profits here, and I was hoping to sell more on this next leg up that clearly did not happen yet or isn't going to happen. So if we do get some sort of bounce, I'll look to de-risk for a lower high. And then if we're able to flip this, then great. I think the most bullish outcome here, obviously, is new all-time highs, but it's something like this, right? So if you remember back here, right, we broke the structure, right? Just like we did here, we've broken below this structure. This would be your lower high level, right? You de-risk here. Oh, no, we're going higher. Great. Get back in long. You can treat this the exact same way, in my opinion. Like if we come up to here, I think you de-risk here and you expect a lower high. And if we get above this, then great, target 150. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's kind of my plan for now. But yeah, I'm happy to answer a bunch of questions and shit now because I've been yapping for a bunch of time. Bro says, does he ever start yapping? Geez, I pity his wife. Imagine coming to a fucking live stream where there's only one person in it and then being upset that that person talks. Are you fucking retarded? What do you think goes on here? Do you think I just sit here in fucking silence? You think this is fucking like, I'm the only one here. Who else is gonna talk? Pity my wife, brother. My wife's the luckiest lady on the planet. Serious question. Levels that would be good support any other time getting melted. Think some big entities selling with no regard. This PA doesn't bode well for recovery. Worst trend since tariff scare. Absolutely, bro. I mentioned that, right? Like when you just see your levels getting absolutely violated, it's not a good sign. Maybe there is some sort of forced seller from October 10th that we still don't know about who's just nuking their bags. Maybe there's massive unwinds going on that we can't tell yet from this DAT thing. I saw Ansem post something about quantum FBI bullshit. I saw another guy post something about like there's threats that MicroStrategy might get delisted from one of the stock indices. Like it is what it is. Why are you physically incapable of being bearish? Probably because I've been in Bitcoin since 2013, and we're at 84,000. So like, I believe Bitcoin goes way higher in my lifetime. So, you know, yes, there's cycles and there's periods of up and down, but I mean, this is not the worst I've seen. It doesn't look good. I should have been bearish at the top. I wasn't. It is what it is, bro. But yeah, I'm capable of being bearish, but like long term, I'm an up and to the right guy. I'm a believer in crypto. I'm also like, think being a bear is gay and depressing and no fun. You're so handsome. Thank you. No, I'm not retarded. I don't pay for your trials. I think you're trying to defend yourself here and make it seem like you're winning this back and forth. But here's the problem. No one fucking cares about what you think. And if you hate me so much, why the fuck are you here watching my stream and talking? Like, go away. Leave. Nobody cares. Nobody knows you exist. Nobody cares. Go do whatever you want to do, brother. Maine, what are your thoughts on comments from Gabe, owners of CNBC? I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are. Yeah, I mean, Ansem, I was bearish here. If you guys remember, I thought this was the top. I said weekly SFP generally is the high. I shorted, and then they came all the way up, stopped me out. So I closed, obviously, and then it SFP'd again. And like Ansem said, gut thinks the top's in. Very similarly, we trade a very similar system. So yeah, he got jebaited into buying the highs. I didn't buy back here though. I just closed my short. So hi from Sweden. Hello. Yeah, I'll look at ETH and Sol here in a second. These comments are on YouTube. I stream on YouTube. I stream on Twitch and Twitter. I'm trying to understand how there's more sellers than buyers at these levels. Is there a simple answer? No. I mean, there's just more people selling than buying. That means price goes down. More people buy than sell, price goes up. There's literally nothing else to it. Don't overthink it. There's not some fucking hidden thing that people know that you don't know. That just means that over the last, basically since October to now, way more people have been selling Bitcoin than buying. It is what it is. What are the chances we keep nuking to 50-50? It's to 50K. It's possible, but I find it very unlikely that we don't get some sort of meaningful relief bounce in the meantime. But like, I think 50K is a great level to buy long term for the next cycle. 100%. Like, and people are like, oh my God, how could you wait that low? Literally, bro, the yearly order blocks on Bitcoin are fucking goated. What's a chart that's gonna have even more history here? Bitstamp. Go all the way back here, dude. Like, we front ran the yearly open here. But like, if you can buy near the prior yearly order block, we front ran it there. But like this last cycle, the bottom was right at the yearly order block. So the top of the last one, and that's right at 50K. And that's not even, let's assume the top's in, 50K is 60% down from the high, right? It's not 80, 75 last time. This one went down 80 something. So if you could buy 50K long term, I think that's a really good opportunity, but I don't think it's gonna just straight line 50K. Maybe it does. Like maybe fucking something implodes that we don't know about and there's just infinite sell pressure. Anything is possible, but I do think we're due for some sort of relief rally here sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, fuck, dude, it's fucking, it's painful, bro. What do you say about CL saying there's no more 4-year cycles? Well, if the top is in and next year's bearish, we put in a 4-year cycle, right? What would discount a 4-year cycle, in my opinion, is if we made a new all-time high and then we made another new all-time high in like March, April, or May of next year. That would mean we're in like a 5-year cycle. But if this was the top, it's a 4-year cycle. So I don't know. What's the best way to get good at leverage trading? I think the best way to get good at leverage trading is to actually leverage trade. I think a lot of people spend too much time paper trading and it's not real. You're not using, the exchange or the DEX that you're actually going to be trading on. It's not real money. You have no skin in the game. I think using a prop firm like Breakout, the one that I just fucking sold to Kraken, okay? Your fucking boy, okay? Your boy here who was at the fucking depths of hell after Sam Bankman fucking Fried stole my money at the Pico Schmico lows. And I said, hey boys, we're fucking not going anywhere. I'll see you guys at fucking 100K Bitcoin. We're riding this bull run out into the sunset. Not only did I stick with you this entire fucking 3+ years, I managed to build and sell a company to Kraken in the meantime. Furthermore, I have fucking checks that I wrote for fucking stupid seed deals. They're all worth zero. That I wrote before I even launched Breakout and sold to Kraken. I reached out to these fuckers. I said, I built and sold a business and you haven't even fucking launched anything yet. Give me my money back. Anyways, to answer your question, a prop firm can be a good intermediary step. It doesn't have to be Breakout, obviously. Because then at least you have some skin in the game. But the best way to learn is by doing. Like, you're not going to get good at golf by watching videos of golf. You might be able to pick up some tips and tricks and some clues, but you got to fucking golf. Same thing with trading, right? If you want to get good at leverage trading, you got to do it. But yeah. Do you consider that 74.6K could hold based on the sell pressures from a big player? Yeah, dude, I mean, like, this is demand, in my opinion, right? But guess what? I thought this was demand too. And all we got was this little fucking fart in the wind. So, yes, I think it can hold, but we need buying to happen, right? The bottom doesn't occur when the buying starts. It happens when the selling stops. Because if you're a big entity and you think Bitcoin's going to do this, let's say, you're not going to just buy right here, right? You're going to be scaling in. That's how they're going to operate. They're going to be scaling in, scaling in, scaling in. And then the selling is going to stop, right? But the buying had already started. But the buyers got to show up and the selling has to subside. Now, I do think we saw a massive ETF outflow. If I'm not mistaken, someone in the chat correct me. But I believe there was $1 billion. I might be completely wrong. There was $1 billion in outflows from the ETFs. And if that's true, maybe that's a very, very weak point for the bulls, whereas we used to have, like, when the ETFs had their biggest inflows, it was the tops, and their biggest outflows were at the bottoms, if you guys remember, earlier in the cycle. That was something we used. But listen, I mean, we have the fucking bulls of the cycle trying to generate exit liquidity, right? We have the JP Morgan saying Bitcoin's going to 170. You have Michael Saylor, posting his weird AI pictures where it's like, bro, go talk to a female, you fucking goofy. We've got Tom Lee being like, Ethereum's only dumping because of a bug in the software, which is fucking retarded. So they're trying to drum up exit liquidity. That's why, I think it's like this or it's like this. But I do think the end result is it's over, sooner than later. And it seems like a lot of these people are trying to generate that last bit of exit liquidity. And maybe they got front run. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we got to just deal with what we got. We don't know. Does it worry me that everyone thinks that we're due for a relief rally? Here's the thing, bro. Everyone thought we were going higher here. And then also equal amounts of everyone thought it was over here. Everyone thought this was the low, and everyone thought this was the low, and everyone thought this was the low, and everyone also thinks that the top's not in, the top's in, or sorry, the top's in, it's going low, it's going lower, it's going lower. Like at any point, depending on where you look and who you follow, you're gonna be able to find everyone thinking one thing or another. And what you'll realize is that it doesn't fucking matter. Like it's not quantifiable or very actionable. Like the idea of it is nice. Like everyone's bearish, therefore I'm bullish. But like that's not a trade idea. Everyone has been bearish here. Like my feed is miserable right now, right? But I also have, there's also cohorts of my feed who are like, I've never been more bullish. But those people were also saying that here, right? So I think that's not enough. That's not enough to kind of dictate what you're gonna do. Can you do a video on how to start a company? I would love to do a video talking about my journey in entrepreneurship. This isn't even the first company I've started. I've started more than one company in the past. This is by far the most successful one. But it's been a super cool ride, and I'm definitely down to do something on that. You guys got to remember, your boy Maine's a little bit older. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit older. I've been in this world for a long fucking time here. I've done some things. I've done some stuff. What's the TLDR potential scam pump, lower high than death? What's the thesis? I have two theses. I have lower high, or I have one more rip and then both result in death. Ideally, we start moving up, whether it's from here or maybe it's a little lower. We start moving up, and then as we start moving up, we start seeing people talking about rate cuts again, quantitative easing, people get excited, and then, you know, maybe that propels us just high enough before we really rug next year, or it's fucking over. Good time to load up on alt or wait for bottom confirmation. I actually think that altcoins are at an interesting place because, right, people have been telling you about alt season, you should be accumulating alts, like as if alts haven't been in bear markets. Right? Like it's the inverse, dude. Like Bitcoin goes up for 3 years and then it goes down for a year. Altcoins go down for 3 years and then like up for 1 year, right? So like altcoins have been in like a 3+ year long bear market, right? Like they went up from 2021 to 2022 and then they've been in a bear market ever since. So anyone who's been telling you about alt season, oh my God, you need to be accumulating alts at these fucking levels, outside of just like pure trades, like alts on the whole look like absolute fucking dog water. Outside of a few, right, like things like BNB where you've got CZ, you know, making sure that this coin goes up. Hype obviously had its run, but like so many of these alts like look horrendous, dude. Horrendous. Like just horrible. So I don't think you need to rush into buying alts. That being said, if we're gonna get an alt season, generally like something like this, right? Like if you look at the total market cap, what is it, total 3? Like if this can have another leg up, right? Like part of that bounce is gonna be alts rallying as well. And maybe that's coupled with Bitcoin dominance rolling over and you get that little mini alt season. I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure every time, that's an interesting question here, we're around the time of switching from QT to QE, prices have dumped before going up. I could be wrong. I mean, hey, let's add that to the fucking hopium bullish pile, baby. I'm with you. Let's ride. Someone wants me to look at ZEC. So I hate this coin. The reason I hate this coin is my good friend told me to buy it at 95, and then I faded him, and I didn't buy it. And because he told me to buy it like at 95, and then by the time I like looked at it, it was at like 180, and I'm like, okay, I missed the move. But yeah, I mean, this thing looks fucking nuts. Is it a triple top? You know, maybe it's Maybelline, I don't know. There's got to be a level. I don't actually think that's just, like, it looks triple toppy, right? It looks triple toppy, but if you go to like the daily, like I would say there. Yeah, I don't know. I would say like, if anything, I would treat it almost as a range. Like I'd almost treat it as a range. Right? And all of a sudden, so this level, right, is the key. 700. Above 700, it looks good. But I think you got to be open to the idea that it can come down to the range lows and then go back up. And it could also sweep the range highs and then fall back within. But these are the levels I would be watching. Yeah, being a bear is gay, negative, and no fun. Like, I'm bullish on life, right? Like, you can be a bear in moments. There's periods of time where being bearish is absolutely optimal, and it's the right call, it's the right play. But on the whole, on the aggregate, being an optimist, being a bull wins, right? Look at all of these markets. Have there been periods of time to be bearish? Yes. Right? Has there been periods of time to be bearish? Yeah. But for the last 15 years, like, and I'm not saying watch this be the intergalactic top forever, even if this has like a multi-year recession, right? Like, how old are you? How long are you going to be in the markets for? Like, the markets go up and to the right, and crypto's the same way. Like, I've been here long enough, right, that like I'm of a belief that this chart continues this way. Like, it continues this way. It's not going to be in a straight line. There's going to be these, right? There's going to be periods of drawdown, but over the long term, and I believe life is a lot like that as well. I think you get a lot farther being an optimist, having positive minds, positive ideas. I think it's just better. Main, are those Kraken invites gone? I have a few left, but I'm saving them for people who are going to farm fucking volume. It's alpha, so it's very early. We can look at ETH now and Sol. So looking at ETH here, I think similar to Bitcoin, it's kind of like, okay, we're due for a bounce. The question is, like, are you just bidding here, or are you waiting for the low time frame to show you a reason to bid? And I think, you know, something like this is potentially a realistic target. You got to realize, like, the 4,000 level on ETH has just been an absolute fucking wall for eternity here, right? Like, ETH is just an abject disaster. Like, the fact that its new all-time high was like literally $100 higher than the last one, it's an embarrassment. I'm not saying that ETH can't make a new all-time high. I've been one of the proponents of ETH going to like 5 to 6K. Is it still possible? Yeah. But it's just like, it looks less and less likely by the day. Similar to Bitcoin here, I think there's two scenarios. Where the low is, I don't know yet, whether it's here, whether it's not, but I do think that the RR on the downside is starting to wane. And I think, you know, this is where you get defensive here for a lower high. And if we're lucky and it's a miracle, just like Bitcoin goes to 150 or something, then maybe ETH miraculously makes new all-time highs as well. Main, was Coinbase interested in breakout before Kraken? We spoke to a lot of different potential acquisition targets, including exchanges, other prop firms, investors, like just kind of like funds and PE and stuff like that. Ultimately, after having multiple discussions, we felt like the best partnership was with Kraken because I believe that Kraken is the most crypto native kind of these big exchanges. I think what Jesse did was incredible building Kraken. I think the reputation is spotless. I consider them one of us. So it made the most sense for us. Mean, are you 32? I am way older than 32, buddy. Try 43 and a half. Can you get me a Kraken do-rag? Do they even make those? Someone wants me to look at Aster. Let's look at Aster. I don't know if I've ever charted this thing before. Well, clearly that's not true because I have some boxes up there. Yeah, I mean, relative strength is there, right? Like this looks like a potential kind of rounding out here that you're seeing. I think this is one of those ones that can be really easy to trade, like on this level, right? You could argue it's this level here, right? But I think you can get a more aggressive with this level here. Does the daily give us anything better? No, I like this level. Yeah, like I think above this, right? This is one of those ones where it's like, okay, if it can break above this price floor or price ceiling, excuse me, probably gets a little pop. Like if Bitcoin can get some relief, this looks like it could be setting up. But it's got to get above here, I think. Like I would be personally waiting for it to clear like this kind of cluster. And then that's got to be coupled with Bitcoin, right? Because for now, I think this is still, resistance here. Like, yeah, it peaked above it here, but like this could very well just be like, just fucking bleed over. I think you need a strong displacement candle above here. Then I'd be interested in looking to buy on a pullback. Could an episode of Up Only save us? I'm the wrong guy to ask, man. I'm the wrong guy to ask. You got to ask that to the guy who owns Up Only, Brian Armstrong. Yo, sorry, bro. This shit's going forever. I'll holler in a bit. Yeah. When Brokel, I mean, I tweeted about this already. Yeah, I looked at ETH. Like it's in this big monthly zone, but like this doesn't have to be the bottom here, right? Like this could very easily dive down again. Like I'm sure a bunch of like RSI guys are probably looking at this now on Bitcoin, right? And they're saying, okay, well, like, we've got to have some sort of div forming. Like I think we did here. Like this was like a bull div, right? But that just got smoked, right? So this still has time. And so does ETH, right? Like this still is like lower, like you could argue maybe lower, low, higher, low, lower, low. But like locally, this still has some work to do. Like this is higher highs, lower highs and lower lows, even on the RSI. So, I think another move down that goes like this on the RSI, and maybe you get like a sweep or a reclaim there. Maybe that's what you get in on rather than just using the box on its own. But I really think Bitcoin is the focus here. We really want to see this put in a weekly swing low and just get back above some fucking levels, right? The yearly open would be a good one. Will Breakout have a mobile app update soon? You're gonna be able to trade Breakout from the Kraken Pro mobile app as well as the Kraken web terminal. Sooner than you think. So we're working on it actively. And by we, I mean the engineers and product people at the company who do the actual hard work. All right, guys. I'll do a couple more quick requests here. I got to dip because I got a call I got to make. I'm already late. But yeah, I wanted to just get on here. The last stream I did, I don't remember when it was. I think the last stream I did was like down here. And then the one before that, I did it here. So seemingly, is that accurate? Was the last stream here or was it here? It might have been here. I don't know. Maybe I stream at local bottoms. Who knows? But first of all, I wanted to just clear the air that like, yes, I very much so, I was incorrect in when and where I thought this local low would form. I don't think all hope is lost, but I do think we have to deal with the reality that things look a lot worse than they did a few weeks ago. We've had some pretty significant structure breaks. I've talked about the bullish arguments, like if you're still a bull, technically we're still holding monthly structure, but they got a lot of work to do, and basing your arguments based on the monthly, right? While you can do it, it means you have to be willing to eat shit on these big pullbacks, because even if the monthly does this, that doesn't help if you panic sold here, right? Panic sold here before the, resuming rally. So, a lot of work to do on the bulls. We'll see. Maybe we get just some weekend fucking relief. But yeah, I traded the last few weeks like shit. I'm not trying to fucking bullshit you guys. I'll look at sold. That'll be the last thing I look at. And just be careful, because there's going to be a lot of people, regardless of what happens online, they're going to be like, I told you so, blah, blah, blah. You got to remember, most of these people aren't trading. Most of these people aren't going to be transparent with you about what they're actually doing. You need to take ownership, right, of your money and your decisions, and follow whoever the fuck you want to follow. But make sure that when you're taking trades, it's because you're comfortable with the idea, you understand the risks. Because the guy who keeps telling you, oh, I bought more Bitcoin today, did they? Right? Did they? Where's the money coming from? How do they keep fucking buying the dip? There's very few people who will be open and transparent about what they're doing, when they're right, when they're wrong. And there's a good reason for that. Most people don't want to share, right? Most people don't want to share, right? Because they don't need to. There's very little upside to posting on social media about all your trade ideas. If you get shit wrong, people hate you, right? Like, and if you get and then there's also people who are going to tell you that your idea is wrong when you post it, and then maybe you start second guessing yourself. I genuinely enjoy trying to help you guys learn, but I am not a financial advisor. All the stuff I talk about here, the moves and stuff, that's what I'm doing with my money. I'm a fucking retard. Whatever you want to do with your money, that's up to you. Make sure you're comfortable with it, okay? So just keep in mind, not everyone in social media is as open and honest about what the fuck their flaws and what they do right and wrong as I am. And you got to take that in a grain of salt, because otherwise you can get up in an echo chamber where everyone's bullish, and then you're like, well, what the hell, guys? Everyone's been telling me they were buying the dip for the last 30K, because none of them ever want to admit they were wrong. And it's that, classic meme where like price does this, and they're going to say, I told you so. It's like, dude, you started telling me to buy here, 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 here. And they'll never admit that they were fucking wrong. They're just like, told you, you should have bought the dip. Once altcoins go up a single iota, someone's going to tell you alt season's back. So you just got to be careful. Anyways, thank you, Dung Shalung, for a very nice message. If you're trading on breakout on the Kraken platform, you'll be able to trade from anywhere that you can trade breakout. It doesn't matter if Kraken doesn't allow you to trade there, because you're going to be trading your breakout account. All right, guys, I got a motor, but I'll be back. I'll probably do an update over the weekend here. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone's surviving. I know things are ugly right now and price is down, and you might feel like you're miserable and you're sad because you didn't make enough money or you didn't take enough profit. You've got to learn from these situations. Like I said at the beginning, dude, if you want to hold for these, you got to accept that these things happen in between, right? And even if the top is in, If you still think Bitcoin's going up here one day, if you have no plan on taking profit, you can't be upset during the periods of drawdown. It's not going to go there in a straight line. So if you say, hey, I don't care that Bitcoin's pulling back, I think it's going to go to 250K by 2030, awesome. Don't be on the timeline bitching and moaning during these pullbacks, even these bear markets, because to get to 250, there's going to be ups and downs along the way, right? But if you didn't make enough money, like, this is a great opportunity for you to look back at your performance, just like I did at the start of the video explaining, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done this better. You need to do the same thing. I learned many cycles ago that altcoins are vaporware and they're garbage. So when we have an October 10th like event, I'm not really worried because I don't hold a bunch of altcoins because I know that they're fake and gay, right? But some of you might have said, damn, I was up fucking 100 grand on that meme coin that everyone was shilling and then I round tripped it to nothing. Well, that's a lesson, right? Next time you're up a bunch of money on a meme coin, maybe you should take some profit, right? So that's how you're gonna learn. It sucks, but think of it as your tuition. Losing money, round tripping profits, that's your tuition, but it's only money well spent if you use it to try and reduce, because you're never gonna completely eliminate mistakes, but reduce the amount of mistakes you make next time, okay? So anyways, rant over, love you guys, talk to you as you